Hey guys, welcome into another edition of the Coach's Corner Show presented by PES, coming to you live as always from Sam Davis Park. Breaking it down with Bobcats head coach David O'Connor. Coach, long road trip last week for the Cats, but the Cats grind out a 30-14 win. How was the trip? How was the process going on the road high atop Signal Mountain last Friday?
It was a little bit of a practice for our first round playoff. You know, we got Hickson then. It's going to be another trip over, and it's probably not 10 miles apart between the two schools. It was a good audition for that first round playoff game. I don't think we played particularly well. I thought our kids played really hard. I thought defensively we did good against a physical brand of football. Offensively, there were a lot of things that distracted that. I think, you know, the wind really took away from our passing game. But in the end, we did survive and we did win. And an ugly win is much better than a nice loss.
No doubt about it. Let's talk about the intangibles. How did the trip go? Walk us through kind of how the process went as far as departing early and then the process all the way up to kickoff.
Well, you know, it was an hour time difference, so that means we had to leave an hour earlier even than we would have normally wanted to leave for a trip of such distance. But we had to correspond everything with Signal Mountain. They set us up with a place that we could sit and eat. Miss Roberts is kind of taking care of all of our trip plans, and she had it lined up. They got there a little earlier, about 35, 40 minutes earlier than everybody else, and they had picked up Subway and drinks and had them out at the little place, the little pavilion we ate there at Signal Mountain down by their soccer field. It is a really nice place and a really nice place to eat. It was just different than what we've been doing. So, you know, anytime you have a little adversity and with young people, you never know how they're going to handle it. But I do think it was good that we got to do that this past week. Prepare us for next week.
Anybody come down with any motion sickness, getting up in twists and turns on that mountain? It was a long, treacherous wind up there.
Coach Hickman, for sure. I think he was feeling a little antsy after, of course, Coach Kirk drives at a good pace, so we felt good with that. Coach Hickman riding up with Coach Haynes, I think they felt a little sick.
Let's talk X's and O's now. It was an ugly win at times for the Cats, but they do have some positives, especially running and passing the ball with the quarterback position. John, another nice night throwing the football. He had 3 touchdowns, and he had a nice 100-plus yard night on the ground as well.
That's right. He put up some good numbers. His completion percentage was not where we wanted it to be. Got to work on that. I mean, I know the wind is a factor. I mean, it's always a factor when you play in wind. Matter of fact, I'd much rather play in rain than I had wind. It just affects the flight of the ball so much differently. But that being said, we did have good things both sides of the ball. I felt like our pass protection was really good the other night. So there's a positive. I thought we became much better against the physical brand of offense. Our defense played much better versus a physical brand of offense.
It was a slow start. You mentioned the wind. We were both there Friday. That thing was whipping at a good steady 20 to 25 miles an hour all night. Well, what changed on maybe the third drive in the second quarter when the Cats finally were able to put points on the scoreboard?
We completed a couple, best I remember, a couple fourth down conversions of we got a little play that's really our number one play in that. It's a run-pass option with John. We run hitches, and he's got a choice of running the ball or throwing the 5-yard hitch, and I think he chose that 5-yard hitch one time, and then one time or a couple times he may have even chosen to run. We completed some passes. Tyler Barnett made a heck of a catch for the touchdown. I mean, it was a great adjustment on the football, and the difference was we completed a few of those passes that we didn't complete on the first 2 series.
Get down late in the second quarter, the Cats kind of starting to take control a little bit of the game. You don't quite punch it in, but you do send out your field goal unit, and you get some points from Jedediah Jenkins before the half.
That's right. Jedediah stepped in and made a big kick, put us up by 3. That was big because we knew we had the ball coming out to start the second half, and then if we could turn those 2 possessions, put those 2 possessions back-to-back with scoring, that'd give us a good lead.
First play of the third quarter, what did you see on tape when you go back and watch it? The Cats drop back, they throw. John finds KJ Ziegler, 80-yard touchdown, longest pass play of the season.
That was really nice. It was just one of the play on our script. Coach Flippo had came up, he had written the script, and that was for the last 3 or 4 days we'd worked at as our number one play to start the second half, and we'd practiced that 4 or 5 times, and we walked out because I guess we had rehearsed it so many times. It came to fruition. It
was a gorgeous throw into the teeth of that wind, but he completes it. Cats got a little breathing room, but Signal Mountain, you mentioned it last week. You said they're gimmicky kind of run offense. They do a little bit of herky-jerky in the backfield. They kind of confused the Cats at times a little bit. They pulled within striking distance in the third quarter there.
Yeah, it kept it. It got us back to thinking, oh no, is this going to be another one of those page games? But our defense stood up and made a stand. We gave up 2 touchdowns on the night. When you go against that brand of offense and you can make them punt, you got a good shot.
You start clicking together late in the third quarter, and then really in the fourth quarter, John kind of ices it with the run. He told us on the radio last week, he said he's not a dual threat quarterback. You call him maybe a 1.5 threat quarterback.
He's about 1.5. He's not just a great speedster. He don't break a lot of tackles or shake people in the open field, but he is really efficient as a ball carrier. He was really, I will tell you what, he was really excited about his 2 pop-up slides at the end of 2 runs.
He's kind of going, he's already preparing maybe for the next level. There's some NFL and even some college guys that don't have the slide down like that.
That's exactly, and he was really pumped about how well he was sliding the other night.
Good deal. Great night for John. Let's talk Arkell. He didn't go over 100 yards, but he got close, around 70-plus yards. What did you see on tape out of your main tailback?
I thought he had a really good night. There's a couple times he hit him. There was just nothing, and he still got yards. He's a grinder. We're trying to hold him off and keep him as healthy as we can. He's playing with a torn labrum and playing with it pretty much all year. And we're trying to make sure he's ready to go for the first round of the playoffs.
Another guy that got involved blocking and catching. First career touchdown for Max Jett on a nice little drag. How exciting was it to see the guy go in for his first career TD?
I was really excited for Max, and he's one of those guys that comes out and works hard every day, and he's got some skill. I mean, he's got really good hand-eyes and does a really good job with the ball and takes care of the football. That's something that, for a guy that hadn't played high school football till this year, he does a really good job in our pass game.
You think he's more excited about hitting a home run over here at Sam Davis or maybe catching a touchdown at Sam Davis?
I think probably he would be equally as happy on either one, to be honest with you.
Good deal. Let's finally talk defense. Signal Mountain, they were still within 2 scores. How did you put the clamps down defensively to kind of secure the win there?
I think our defensive guys just come out with a little bit better mindset. I felt like Key McDonald did a really good job of coming downhill, making tackles. Coach Haynes kind of predetermined some of our movements on our defensive line, our linebackers, kind of putting people in gaps instead of allowing them to read and react. He kind of just went ahead and made calls, and I think probably they played a little better doing that.
We said we were at Signal Mountain, but there was another mountain in the middle. It was Mount McElroy at times for you guys. Big D was just pushing people around on the D line.
He does a pretty good job of anchoring down the inside of the defense of our defense and keeping the others' offensive line off our linebackers to allow them to scrape and make plays.
How did it go in the secondary for the Cats? Signal Mountain threw maybe a little more effectively than some going into the game might have anticipated.
Yeah, they did, and they completed a couple nice passes. I think Trent Burns had a really good day in the secondary. He broke one. He had a shot at a couple interceptions, but that was due to the way how well he plays when the ball's in there. We got to get a couple of those other guys in the secondary to play with that same type of confidence that when the ball's in there, it's as much theirs as it is the offense. I think Trent does that pretty well.
Final thoughts on the win. Kind of comprehensive, good night running, good night passing, and pretty good night defensively at Signal Mountain.
Not a bad night. I feel like we can do better offensively. I feel like we can do better defensively. But for a road win with adversity, I thought it was a good win.
We say it a lot, Coach, but we're back here at the Brickyard this Friday night.
Amen. I'm really excited about getting back in here and playing at home again. Our kids love playing here. You talk to our kids as a whole. We've been talking with our seniors at the end of practice every day, getting a little bit from them on why they play football, and all those good things. And the number one thing they all say is playing in the Brickyard on Friday nights. They like coming to the Brickyard, having that atmosphere we have with our fans and everybody being here cheering and seeing them to play. It's a really good feeling for those guys.
It's going to be a fun one Friday. We'll have more on that contest when we come back on the other side of this timeout. The Bobcats take on Tullahoma in the regular season finale right here at Sam Davis Park. We'll be back in just a moment on the Coach's Corner Show presented by PES.
I'm a weekend warrior, and soccer is one of my passions. But when I sprained my ankle, I thought that was all over. But I went to Benchmark Physical Therapy. I was treated with manual therapy. My progress was measured each step of the way. I put in the time, the reps, the work to get my ankle ready for anything. So now, it's like it never happened.
At the Giles County Courthouse, judges and juries make decisions every day that significantly affect people's lives. Juries may decide who goes to the penitentiary. Judges may choose which parent will raise children. Both could decide how your heirs share in your property. If you are confronting any of these difficult legal issues in your life or business, please allow the experienced lawyers at Andrew Hoover and Attorneys to be with you at every important step.
Have you been thinking about getting back in shape? Or maybe you're an avid exerciser looking for something different. Come check us out at P-Town Strength and Fitness, where we offer a wide variety of functional movements, systematically programmed to help you get started and maximize your physical potential. Enjoy the sense of community, camaraderie, and teamwork in our one-of-a-kind group setting that will assist you in your quest for physical well-being. For more information, check us out on Facebook at P-Town Strength and Fitness, or stop by at 200 East Jefferson Street in Pulaski.
I've got my closest friends over to watch the game on cable. Did you know you can advertise your local business during this cable program? Via Media represents the advertising for your cable system. They could put a TV commercial for you right here on this system during this show. Let Via Media help you. Call Via Media today or viamediatv.com.
Here in Tennessee, when opportunity knocks,
First Farmers is here.
a full-service bank with deep roots,
First Farmers is here.
loans to help businesses grow and families plan for the future,
First Farmers is here.
the technology you need to manage your personal finances.
First Farmers is here.
As Middle Tennessee continues to grow, First Farmers, we're here.
Hey gang, second half of the Coach's Corner Show, presented as always by PES. Wade Neely here alongside Bobcats head coach David O'Connor. Coach, we went to break a moment ago. We're back at the Brickyard Friday. It's the regular season finale. The Cats will welcome Tullahoma here to the Sam Davis Park.
That's right. Coach Olive and those guys are going through some hard times at Tullahoma currently. But I tell you what, they're always well coached. They're always prepared. They've got a little lack of run of athletes, but those guys will be ready to play.
Yeah, you can't really sugarcoat it. They've lost every game this season. They lost every game last season. Been a tough run, but like you mentioned, they're so well coached. Coach Olive, he's one of the winningest coaches in the mid-state, if not the entire state. Done it for so many years there at Tullahoma. Hard to envision them being down too much longer.
That's right, and they've got a good sophomore class. Had a really good freshman class last year, and we went over and played them in JV freshman ball this year, and they got a really good freshman class this year. So they're eventually going to pop back up, or we can do our job and try to keep them down. You know, that'd be our job as Bobcats, to keep them down and keep them on their losing ways, and hopefully get to play them again.
It is a region contest. What can you tell us that you've seen on tape in the preliminary stages? What challenges does Tullahoma present? They've played some teams close this year.
They have, and a lot of that's due to their quarterback. They got a Dixon kid at quarterback. It's a really good football player. He's probably their best runner and their best thrower. Now, I ain't going to say their best runner too quick. They've got a corn kid at tailback, a little sophomore that's about 5'9", 205, 210 pounds. Ooh. That's a really good runner for a sophomore. They've got good players. They've been beat up by the injury bug. Matter of fact, they moved one of their best defensive linemen. They moved him back to linebacker. There's not many times you're going to see a 6'4", 6'5", 260-pound linebacker, but that's what they've done. Just trying to fill some gaps and give them a chance to win. So their coaches are coaching, their players are still playing, and we've got to come out and play if we're going to be as good as we're going to be. Because at the end of the day, we're not playing to necessarily beat Tullahoma right there. We're playing to try to improve ourselves.
Right, and we mentioned it in the open as well. Region standings are secure for the Bobcats. We'll be that number 3 seed. How difficult is the challenge this week, keeping the guys mentally focused, knowing that this game doesn't impact the region standings as far as playoff implications?
You know, I don't think it's a big challenge. Our kids are still trying to improve. They understand that we're not as good as we can be yet. Every kid on our team knows that we can play better, and we're still looking for that better game.
As we mentioned, postseason is right around the corner. We'll step out of Tullahoma talk for just a second. Cats are pretty much locked into a battle with Hickson. You mentioned it earlier, a school that's coming out of Chattanooga. Already maybe anticipating, what have you already maybe preliminarily scouted on those guys?
Not just a whole lot at this point. We hadn't had a really chance to look at them. We're trying to play it one game at a time and get ready for Tullahoma and see where that goes. and then on Sunday we'll get to work on Hickson.
We'll have more on them, obviously, coming up next week in our final episode of the show. Let's talk reclassification. This has been a big buzzword around the state of Tennessee. The Cats are dropping down to 3A next season, or they've at least been scheduled to drop down to 3A. Is that going to be the anticipation that we'll be playing 3A ball?
It is. Well, I think that'll put us as one of the larger schools in 3A as opposed to being the smallest school in 4A. So I think that'll put us at least. Now, we may not be any more competitive, but we'll at least be playing schools our own size.
It'll be a fun transition next year. We won't even know the regions until the season is already over. So at this point, it's still kind of an unknown. We kind of have a guess on some teams possibly. You mentioned last week, I believe, Harpeth or some other schools kind of like that, Fairview potentially.
Well, yeah, it comes down to I think what they're going to do, there's about 10 or 11 teams here in the mid-state area, and it's all according to how they bust those teams up. Are they going to put all the Nashville metro schools in one and all the rural schools in another? Or are they going to try to mix and match? If they try to split the metro and the rural schools, I don't know how it'll fall. And that's all up to TSSAA. You would really hope that they would give us the opportunity to see what region it'd be before you'd want to move around, but they don't. They let you decide, am I going to be 3A or 4A, and then they decide.
The other big question, a lot of folks in the community curious, the rivalries, the natural rivalries, schools like Lawrence County, Marshall County, they're going to stay at 4A, even Tullahoma and Spring Hill going to stay in there. Already reaching out to some of those schools about possibly continuing those games in a non-region format?
That's exactly right. We anticipate that we'll probably be in a 5 or 6 team region, which will give us 5 out-of-region games. And, we still anticipate playing Lawrence County, Lincoln County, Marshall County, Columbia, Spring Hill, maybe even Page, Tullahoma. We've already contacted those schools. We still want to play. It's just a matter of, I guess, matching up dates from there.
Yeah, and this will go into effect next year. You mentioned Page. They're actually bumping up to 5A. They'll be one of the smaller schools in all of 5A, and depending on how their region goes, they could get placed in with some awfully tough competition.
That's right. That's a pretty tough region there in Williamson County, and it'll probably put them in there with those, the independents and all those, and that's a tough region for them to play in, but that's just part of having a higher enrollment.
Remember the breaks. The other big thing that came out of the TSSAA, this is not necessarily football related, but in sports, soccer and volleyball, this is going to allow, like you mentioned a moment ago, schools kind of generally in the same size are now finally going to be on a kind of an equal competitive footing here.
That's exactly right. It's going to make it more even for us anyway.
Good deal. Let's finally dive back into Tullahoma. Cats, their final regular season game here. Don't anticipate likely a playoff game here at the Brickyard. There is a remote chance, but what are you going to say to your team Friday night as they take the Brickyard field for the final time, at least in the regular season?
That's right, Wade. Our kids have kind of already been talking about, this may be their last time to play. Those seniors for sure. The last shot they got to play in the Brickyard, and they want to make a good final impression. It is favorite teacher night, so those seniors are going to get to recognize their favorite teachers, and hopefully we'll have a big crowd here for that, and then for the game that follows, and hopefully our Bobcat kids are going to come out, and we get our 12th man out here, and we let Tullahoma remember what good football is about.
Finally, what would you like to see from an X's and O's standpoint out of your team do well this weekend?
I'd like to just see us come out and execute at a high level, make some plays. But more importantly, let's stay healthy. Let's move on to the next round.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Coach, as always, thank you for your time. Best of luck Friday. We'll see you at the Brickyard.
Always a pleasure, Wade.
Thank you very much. Bobcats head coach David O'Connor. That's all the time we've got, as this is our next to last episode of the Coach's Corner Show. We'll have one more recapping the Tullahoma game next week and previewing the postseason. I've been Wade Neely. We're going to send it back now. That's all the time we've got from Sam Davis Park here on the Coach's Corner Show, presented by PES.